All of Hong Kong's pro-democracy lawmakers have resigned in protest after the territory's government disqualified 4 of their colleagues.
Together we stand!
Together we stand!
Now, the Hong Kong chief executive's decision came minutes after the Chinese parliament passed a resolution allowing Carrie Lam to expel legislators without having to go through the courts. Beijing has recently moved to clamp down on opposition voices in Hong Kong by imposing a national security law after months of anti-government protest rocked the city last year. China's foreign ministry spokesperson defended the decision.
全国人大常委会有关决定，针对的是不符合。
It is a necessary measure in order to maintain the rule of law in Hong Kong and the constitutional order of the special autonomous region. It is rational, reasonable, and in line with the Constitution and laws.
And we are joined now by Dennis Kwok, one of the 4 pro-democracy MPs that the Hong Kong government has expelled from Parliament for allegedly violating their oath of office. Welcome to the program, and thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to just begin by asking you about Hong Kong's chief executive, which says that you were disqualified for, quote, endangering national security. What's your response?
I think that's a ludicrous allegation, and I don't think they actually believe it in their minds. We are just peaceful, lawful citizens, and also, of course, we were lawmakers, and we were following the basic law and the rules of procedure. We believe and we tried for a long time to make one country, 2 systems work. Unfortunately, has not panned out the way we've hoped. But to say that we endanger national security, I think that is a bit ludicrous.
So what signal do you think that Beijing is trying to send by eliminating voices like your own?
I think the one country, 2 systems design, or the original spirit of it, if any, is now gone. And I'm afraid that the constitutional order, what we're supposed to have, for example, the separation of powers in Hong Kong, is also finished. Because with this law, the chief executive could basically pick off any legislator that she doesn't like. This week it could be me. Next week it could be someone else. So I think the constitutional order that we originally enjoyed and believe that we have is now gone.
So what happens now going forward? Because in the wake of your expulsion, we know that 15 of your pro-democracy colleagues have now also resigned from the legislature. It is now the first time that no opposition MP is in the parliament since Hong Kong's return to China. Quite historic there. What can you really achieve now going forward if you're not in the legislature anymore? And have your colleagues just given up?
No, I think, first of all, we've been receiving a lot of messages from the Hong Kong people today, throughout the whole day, our supporters saying that they support the resignation because they believe that we shouldn't be lending credence to the idea that we still, or the illusion that we still have an independent legislature. That's number one. Number 2 is, I think a lot of my colleagues will be going back to the grassroots communities. Let's not forget that we won 90% of the district council seats last year. And I think a lot of my colleagues who are from the districts will go back to the grassroots and interact with the Hong Kong people that way, which in many ways is much closer to the ground, much closer to the Hong Kong people. So I think you will be seeing people going back to the communities to work on that level.
What does that mean in terms of having an actual impact, though? Because we know, for example, the national security law is really quite restrictive. For example, it makes street protest nearly impossible. So how should the pro-democracy movement, how should the opposition camp carry on with your goals?
I think, it will be an understatement to say that we are going through a very tough period. We are going through a very, very tough period, and we foresee that it will be even more difficult, trying times for Hong Kong people as a whole. But I think I can still feel the passion and the aspiration within the local community, in the hearts and minds of the Hong Kong people, the aspiration for the rule of law, the freedom that they've been promised. I think that is not going to go away.
Dennis Kwok, thank you so much for joining us to share that perspective. As we mentioned, you're from the Civic Party. You're one of the disqualified 4 members of the Hong Kong Legislative Council. We appreciate it.
Thank you.